Hey guys, welcome to another Double Tap on YouTube. I am Stephen Scott.
And I'm Sean Preece. Hello.
Hey Sean, good to be back. And today we're talking about OM. OM. We're talking about OM.
Okay, I think I must have got the wrong notes. I have no idea what that is. You mean O&M training, Stephen Scott?
I do. Orientation and mobility training. Although I've got to say I much prefer saying OM.
Yeah, it's more
Just
fun.
me.
I've got to say, well, at least it sounds it. Orientation and mobility. It's something, it's a skill that we should all have if we're blind or visually impaired. But of course, a lot of us don't.
And on a recent show, we actually got the chance to sit down with an orientation and mobility specialist, Aoife Buckley from Vision Ireland, to tell us all about the kind of things that they would do when, you know, they head out, they meet someone for the first time. And we kind of centered it all around you. It was a very interesting conversation. Let's hear some of that right now.
When we met up, Stephen, it was the point when I just started to lose, my vision got to the level where I was struggling, where I was getting lost on a pavement, where I was starting to feel around with my feet a lot more. Before that, the symbol cane was just purely that, a symbol cane. I could track enough. I had tunnel vision, RP. So as soon as that started to go is when I met Stephen. And yeah, from then, I have just bumbled around. I've just learned as I've gone. I've got over the, I'm not accepting that I need a cane. You know, the almost embarrassment, the shame of the cane. I am over it. I need my cane. I can't leave without the cane. It's part of me. So, yeah, it's been about 10 years.
So it wasn't necessarily a conscious decision not to use it because you were using a symbol cane already. So it wasn't the stigma of using a cane that prevented you from moving to the long cane.
Oh, it was for the longest time. For, you know, the amount of times I would use my symbol cane out and about and then fold it up when I got near my home. So my neighbours didn't see my secret shame. So that was an issue for a long time. But the fact of the matter, just from practical terms, I needed it. I needed, you know, the long cane made a huge difference.
How long do you feel it took you to become confident with the long cane, having just been handed one?
Oh, it's a really difficult question because I've been losing my sight gradually, accepting that I couldn't actually see where I was going took a while, if that makes any sense. I still used the long cane for a while just as, hey, I don't have to explain myself anymore. Hey, I've got bad eyes. You know, that term. I'm not saying the B word. I can't see properly. And when I'm explaining to people to try and get help, the white cane did away with all of that. People just knew the situation straight away. But recently, actually during lockdown, I lost all my usable vision. So now I just see, well, light perception, basically. And since then, the cane has really become... I feel really comfortable with it. I can take the dog out and keep my eyes shut if it's raining hard. I feel very confident. The thing that I still struggle with, and I don't know if this is just an individual personal thing, is that I tend to get lost so easily. I get disorientated. I mean, I'm thinking, Stephen, I know this is what you think of all the time. Whenever we've stayed in a hotel, I will get lost in a lobby. I will end up trying to walk up a side of a wall. I don't know where anything is. But with the cane, you know, shorelining and things like that, I feel perfectly confident with. But I just have I don't know if that's something you can teach or if that's just something, you know, Sean just has no direction.
Well, it could be that, but there are definitely techniques that you can learn. So, like, mobility training, long cane training, isn't just about learning how to move the cane back and forth to detect things on the pavement. There are two strands to it, really. It's orientation and mobility training. So the orientation part is learning how to recognize where you are and how to know where you're going and how to get there, what skills to use to get there. The mobility part is pretty much physically getting from A to B safely. So it sounds like orientation then, Sean, could be something that it can be very easily worked on. So using sound as direction would be one, non-visual information really. Sound is one. Using like the tactile senses, whatever is under your feet, or if there's a breeze, which there shouldn't be in a hotel lobby, but if you're out and about, what direction the sun is on your face. Smells, so again, if you're out and about, smelling when you're walking past the shoe shop, you can smell the leather. When you're walking past the coffee shop, you can smell the coffee. Using all of that kind of information to know where you are, what direction you're pointing in, and how far along a route you are, would be part of the training that would be involved. When you did have vision, how were you at making your way around then?
Selective. I was fine. I was actually okay. Yeah, I was okay.
So you could find your way around. You could follow a map. You could follow a route.
Oh well, let's not go crazy here. I mean, I don't know about that, but I was more than happy to go to somewhere unfamiliar, and I had enough vision to figure it out. So, yeah, I would say that the disorientation, is that a word, has come, but is purely down to the sight loss.
Okay. So the cane keeps you safe, though. You avoid, or you detect obstacles and you make your way around them. You find all the curb drop-offs and all that. Yeah.
All I do is follow the curb. That is it. I am shorelining. That's the only thing I know. It's the only thing I seem to need. I just shoreline everything, be it the curb or the property line of wherever I am. Mm-hmm. But as I said, I feel okay with it. It's I'm not sure if it's the cane technique that I need sort of training on, or more just general, as you said, orientation. It's the orientation side. Yeah,
so using clues and landmarks, using the information that you're coming across on the route to know exactly where you are on the route, and using them like breadcrumbs on the way out so you can follow them then again on the way back.
Now, lots of people have been talking about the no-jab cane and, the amount of time it gets caught on something and jabs them in the stomach. I don't hold my cane like that. I hold my cane down by my hip and across my front of my body. Mm-hmm. Is that wrong?
It's
yes.
The textbook.
You can say
it. Wait, you said that now, Shaun. The textbook would have you holding the cane centrally in front of you, at a distance from your body. So when it does jab into things on the pavement or an obstacle, there is that space between the end of the cane and your body so that it doesn't jab you. It's centrally in front of you because you use it then like a pendulum, moving it left and right or sweeping left and right as you walk down the pavement or whatever. There's an awful lot of people, Shaun, who would be the same if they're right-handed. The cane drops down to their right-hand side because it's just easier. It's your body posture has your arm down at your side, so it's much easier to use the cane for any distance with your hand down at your right-hand side. What I say to people is, and this may be controversial, there are no cane police out there. If you are using the cane in a way that keeps you safe and is not unsafe for other people, then it's doing a job. There's a huge part around acceptance. And at the start there you mentioned, when do you start training or when do you start using the cane? That is purely down to acceptance. I think the reason why people are concerned about the neighbours seeing people using a cane is because of the grey area in between being sighted and blind. The spectrum of blindness or low vision. The general public feel that you use a long cane or a guide dog if you're blind. An awful lot of people don't understand low vision, And so therefore the people I've spoken to feel that they would be thought of as not faking it, but yeah, why did they not need a long cane yesterday, but today they're walking outside their door with a long cane, And I have worked with somebody who would use their long cane in Dublin. There's a Lewis, like a light rail system. They use their cane to get onto the carriage. People stepped out of the way, went out of their way to make sure that the person had a seat, and the person sat down and took out a newspaper and started to read the newspaper. So people were just, didn't know how to manage what was happening in front of them, really, because this person had RP and they needed the mobility aid to get around, but could read the newspaper.
It's really interesting, Shaun, because it feels to me like, and I'm in a different position to you in this, but, from your story and from what Aoife's been saying, part of it is acceptance first. You almost need to accept that there's a problem and you need to seek the help. I mean, it's like a lot of things in life, right? And I don't think we often think about orientation and mobility in that way.
But yeah, I think I just want to make doubly clear that I'm not blaming any failure in some sort of, authority, organisation, or any sort of service, or any O&M instructor. There's no failure there. It is purely down to, firstly, like you said, acceptance. I was denying it all the way. I am not a blind person. I am not a blind person. I was denying it for years and years. I was always struggling to play the part of someone who could see, which sounds absolutely ridiculous now, right? When you look back at what you used to do and how you would deny reality, but it's absolutely true. And I think we need to acknowledge that a lot of it is down to us as individuals. But at the same time, I really did struggle, and I still do struggle, to say, okay, now is the time I need it. Particularly, I can absolutely understand it if you've got a work route that you need to know. If I need to get to the office, I need to get wherever. But as so many of us are unemployed, that sometimes doesn't come up. And with the abundance of online shopping, it's not like I've got to do the weekly big shop, so I need to know that route. I need to be able to walk that route or get the bus or whatever it is. I need to learn that. I need some help with that. That has fallen away a lot, I think. So it's I think it's a lot harder now. With people, it's so easy just to stay in your comfort zone and not leave the house.
Yeah, and it's not that you're staying in your comfort zone and losing out either. I mean, like you say, all the things that you want to do can come to your door. That's a huge difference in our lives now, and that wasn't in place, 10, 15 years ago. You would have to go to the store, you would have to go to the high street, you would have to, go to, as you say, do the big shop and all those things. You don't need to do that anymore. I actually think the last time I was in a superstore, a big superstore, it must have been, I don't know, it must have been about 2 years ago. I mean, honestly, I just don't go in there. Why would I go in there? Because for me, it just is an absolute nightmare. But you're right. There are a lot of people who can benefit from it. But you say this, but you do go out. You do go to the store to get your rolls and your food and whatever it is you're getting on a daily basis. Your intake of carbs.
I do. Yes, thank you. Yes, my protein shakes.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
and
protein
salads.
shakes. Yeah, the only shaking that protein gets is in the bag on the way back. That's not the kind of protein shake that I think most people are thinking of, Sean Preece.
I do get out. I'm quite fortunate that I do get out. And
you take the dog a walk?
I take the dog for a walk twice a day. Yeah, I do go out the shop. But I'm quite fortunate that most of these are, because I moved to a new area about 5 years ago now, 6 years ago. I moved to a new area, and I still had enough vision where I learned the area okay. Visually, I learned the route. And then I lost my vision about halfway through that, so about 3 years ago. And I still feel comfortable walking those familiar routes. But going outside of that, going to new ground is still difficult, and it still makes me tense and makes me anxious.
And that's where the O&M skills come in, because they help you engage. It doesn't give you all the answers, but it gives you the tools to be able to know what to do. And we got a lot of that from Aoife. Aoife's been in touch with you, right? I mean, you're going to continue conversations in the background and maybe even, get some information about getting some support. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, she very kindly emailed me and offered that we could do some sort of O&M training remotely. I'm assuming, unless she's going to commute over, or I'm going to commute over there. Maybe that's part of the test. But
if you make it to Dublin,
yes,
then you have passed.
Well, as she said in the interview, there is a lot of it in my case, because I do feel confident with the cane, and maybe I got my own, not official, but they work for me, tactics of using the cane.
Yeah.
But maybe it is just that coping strategies of not feeling overwhelmed. I thought it was really interesting when she said, you need to sort of prioritize or know what's important when it comes to audio cues, because right now I'm trying to take in absolutely everything I hear, I smell, absolutely everything around me. And I do sometimes feel overwhelmed when I'm trying to work out the space that I'm in. So I think there is, even if it was remotely, even if it's not a case of actually someone coming out with me and walking a route, I still think just having that conversation and picking up those skills could be helpful.
Well, I'm glad you had the conversation, because I think it's a really useful thing for everybody to hear, especially those people who are perhaps at home thinking, I'd like to get out, but I can't. I mean, if you're born blind, you will have had support and early intervention to get you and give you all the skills you need to be independent. Now, not everyone might get everything or get equal or otherwise, but you will have an element of that somewhere in amongst it all. I got it when I was growing up.
Yeah.
But it's harder because you have to initiate it when you're older. And I think that's the biggest hurdle. Everything you have to initiate. As a kid, it's a service that's provided to you and you just go along with it because that's what you do.
Because people tell you need to do it as
and
well.
And your parents obviously would want the best for you. So they would say, well, look, this is something you need. But it's interesting because I say all that, you had RP, retinitis pigmentosa, from a young age.
Yeah.
But because that condition is progressive, people tend to only really treat you and talk to you from where you are. They don't think about the future. They think about where you are today. Well, you can see okay just now. You're doing okay. Yeah, so no one thinks beyond that. And of course, you do not want to be thinking about total blindness, right? So
no, exactly. We're back to the acceptance thing, and it's very much the teaching young kids Braille discussion again, isn't it? People even who aren't blind should be taught Braille at a very young age, just because
even if they don't want to.
I was going to say even if they don't want to, but who wants to, right? I think everyone kicks back against that.
Yeah.
But it's such a benefit later on, and you know what it is? It's difficult. It's fine now. If there's so many of us who maybe live alone and are isolated, and yes, because of the internet now, we can have there's so many friends that I've made online, and there's not that stigma to it like there used to be. They're your online friends, like they don't exist. I've known some of my best friends I've met over the internet, and you can get everything you need. As you said, you don't need to go out. But the fact that you can't in some cases, or you feel that you can't get out, it does make it feel like a prison. Sometimes you do just want to go for a walk around the block, right? Just for a change, just so it doesn't feel like it's another day of the same old thing. It's so important, and O&M can really help with that.
You can tell us your thoughts in the comments. Maybe you've had orientation and mobility training yourself. Maybe you know someone who perhaps needs that and maybe has been looking for the nudge. Maybe this conversation can help that. Who knows? But either way, get in touch with us as usual, all the usual ways. feedback@doubletaponair.com is our email address. 1-877-803-4567 is our number. You can call that and leave a voicemail. Or you can drop us a comment below. We'll be back again with another YouTube video soon, so check that out. Sean Preece for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.